Kevin Bowen here. Don't forget to listen to The Fan now on 93.5 or 107.5 FM. And check out our latest coverage online at 1075thefan.com.
March Madness is here, and that brings the NFL chaos to, a whole nother level with all the CBA and franchise tag stuff. And it'll be a fun few weeks here in the NFL. I'm Kevin Bowen, back. Another edition of Kevin's Corner. Joey Molinaro across the way.
Hey.
You got to be excited, man. Free agency is always a time. I know you're probably more of a team draft guy, but I feel like there's, I don't know, maybe you say this because it's the Colts and there's some unknown, just such a critical offseason, but I feel like there's a lot of interesting dominoes that need to fall, not only league-wide, CBA-wide, but some big freaking names in the NFL that we don't know where they're going to be playing next year.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it feels like we've been saying this surrounding the Colts since Chris Ballard got here, really, so it's kind of like, is this going to be the free agency period? Or were we going to see the expanding and the numbers come in and different big names fly in? But, yeah, man, it's always exciting.
And I think this will be the offseason. They do spend a little bit more. Again, it's a two-way street, and we're taping this on Tuesday morning, the 10th. 5 days from now, the open market could look a lot different. But as of now, I still believe if Chris Ballard, honestly, if he's a man of his word, they're going to spend. He told his team after they ended that 7-9 season, when things like this happen, change occurs. That's inevitable. That's life in the NFL. And you base that off of, needing to spend a little bit more to get to that 89% threshold from a cap standpoint. Obviously, the lack of veteran voices, lack of depth, just in general. I think the Colts will spend a little bit more this offseason. We'll lay out a free agency blueprint plan, if you will. On this podcast, we'll get into Twitter questions. Let's begin here, Joey, of just the free agents that the Colts still have and kind of double back on who I think they should bring back and who might come back. Costanzo, I'd assume that's just a logistical thing that just needs to become official. Once you get past him, the Devin Funchess thing, so interesting to me. Just on both sides of it. Does Funchess want to come back? Does he feel good about the quarterback situation here? What do 31 other NFL teams look at him after really a year where there's no film on him whatsoever? And then from a Colts standpoint, when you look at such a terrible free agent market at wideout, do you want to run it back with Funchess? Does he feel like he wants a short-term deal? Does he think he deserves a little bit of a longer-term deal after a prove-it contract? I have no idea what the proper market value looks like for Funchess, but he's a name. And then Jabal Sheard and Joe Haig are probably the two other names, Joey, of guys that I would look into bringing back. I think you could upgrade at defensive line. So Sheard maybe not, but I like his early down presence. But again, I've made it clear, defensive line, I think, as a position group you can upgrade. And for Joe Haig, it simply comes down to, all right, man, you're behind one of the better offensive lines in football. You're probably not going to start here for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Does Joe Haig say to his agent, let's look somewhere else? Which is fair. I mean, I totally get that. And Joe Haig probably deserves an opportunity at that. Outside of that, Josh Andrews, Clayton Gathers, LaRaven Clark, Chester Rogers, Jonathan Williams. Whatever. I mean, I don't lose sleep too much. Adam Vinatieri, no. Just move on.
What do we think will happen with that? Do you think there'll be a big ceremony, a big press conference?
Yeah, it's a good question.
An announcement of a Ring of Honor date already?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, honestly, is on Vinny. Does he want to keep on playing? Yeah. I can't see the reason. You want to go kick in Tampa for your 25th year?
I mean, he's got to make that decision within the next week, right?
Well, not necessarily. Obviously, if the Colts don't want him to get to the open market, then yes, but I don't think it's that. I mean, this guy is rehabbing a knee injury that, by all accounts, it was going to take months into the offseason to fully rehab. So does Vinatieri want to get through the rehab, see how he feels, test it out a little bit, and then if he doesn't feel confident, maybe then he hangs it up? Like, I could see this almost being like a May or June sort of decision. Now, the vice versa aspect is, do teams want their kicking situation a little bit more solidified then? Does Vinatieri want to go have a kicking competition? That sounds crazy. So I don't think this has like a crystal clear picture tomorrow. Maybe there is a kind of an eye-opening sort of thought for him, but that's a competitive MFer, dude. I mean, he is. That last image of him, block kick against Tennessee.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah,
so,
you've been big on that since it happened. I remember.
That's tough. And I get it. I don't want to act like I'm 1/1000th of the competitor that Adam Vinatieri is, but dude, I don't like losing to anything. So I can't imagine him going out that way. But again, Funchess, Sheard, Haig, maybe Geathers just as a back-end veteran leadership guy, but nothing more. I like Kari Willis deserves a start.
Yeah.
I don't want to mince my thoughts there. But we'll see if any of those continue to happen over the next week. A couple just restricted free agents real quick.
Yeah.
Trayvon Coley, Marcus Johnson, saw that I think Joel Erickson reported the Colts won't tender him, so he'll be gone. Reese Fountain and Roland Milligan are exclusive rights free agents, so as long as the Colts throw out an offer for them here the next week, they will be back.
Let's get to the real juicy stuff, KB, and that is the possibilities of the different free agents that could be coming that are out of house, out of town, into Indy. That's what everyone is going to be talking about here coming up next week. What are we thinking on that?
Okay, so I've said it before in prior podcasts. There's a willingness for the Colts to spend more. How could that look? What does that look like? That's what I want to get into here. And last year, the Colts made two significant moves. Justin Houston, highest paid free agent defensive end last year. I think Devin Funchess was the third highest paid wideout. Those are notable moves.
Yep.
I'd like to tack one more onto that. So if you can go out, spend, big money, ironically enough, big money at a wideout, big money at defensive line, that to me is two boxes I'd like to see checked in the next few weeks. The third position I come back to is tight end. Now, like I mentioned, a re-sign of Funchess, a re-sign of Sheard potentially, that could shift some things. At safety, if this Eric Berry talk is real, I'm good with it. Clayton Geathers out, Eric Berry in. You ever see the Heisman video? Eric Berry to the Halle Berry song?
Right back in the day, I remember that campaign very well because
he was that guy.
Like
There's always that juicy, like Jabril Peppers a few years ago.
Right,
There's that juicy defensive back that's like
that do it all. Yeah,
Charles Woodson, folks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, but I mean, Barry was pretty close.
He was a stud in college. I'll never forget watching Jack Doyle go up against Western Kentucky played him, and I think Doyle punished him honestly on a play, which is kind of a wild thing to think back on. I'm good with Eric Berry. Again, do I think he's going to come in here and be a 16-game starter? No, but be your backup, sub packages, veteran leadership, all those sorts of things.
Your new Mike Mitchell.
Yes.
Probably better.
Great call on that. I'm good with. Let's start with wideout. I'm looking into Amari Cooper. I'm looking really hard at it. Really hard at it.
Even though he said those comments of, I want to be a Cowboy forever, you still got to do your due diligence?
Yes, that's fine. And a lot of this, I think, will depend on what happens with the CBA. And it's a very fluid situation. Again, we're recording this Tuesday morning. We'll see how it changes. But, if the Cowboys don't have enough tags to go around and Dak gets one, maybe Cooper hits the open market. I've made the connection before to Mike Groh, the Colts' new wideouts coach, being in Alabama when Cooper was there. You look at this wideout group, Joey, and like my plan Bs are like Funchess, Nelson Aguilar, Brashard Perriman.
I like Aguilar.
Yeah, but I mean, like versus love. I think you love Cooper and you like Aguilar.
For sure. But I'm just thinking, more of kind of a Ballard type signing.
But is Aguilar, Kamar Aiken, Darius Hayward-Bay, Hakeem Nicks?
I see where you're going. I don't personally think that, but
and I do think there's still more there. But there's also not the same quarterback situation that some of those guys struggled with. So Aguilar and Perriman, again, are a couple plan Bs that I am the least intrigued by. But, it's a sorry group. It is a sorry group of wideouts. Thankfully, it's a historic wideout group in the draft, so tap into that for sure. Tight end-wise, I'd like to see it explored. The two big names are Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper.
Mm-hmm.
Me likey. There's also a little bit of depth with that tight end group. That, again, that might be more of a Chris Ballard thing.
Which one do you like more? Hooper or Henry? Henry injury history.
Yeah, that is a good question.
But a real matchup problem.
Yeah. I'm nervous that Hooper has benefited so much from,
Julio Jones.
Sloppy seconds off Julio.
Yeah.
Sloppy seconds might not be the right word, or the right phrase. You know what I mean, though.
Yes.
But both those guys, in all seriousness, Henry, if you're going to make me pick, he might have had more of the injury history. But, yeah, that is a tight end position that I think, boom, you go there, okay. Jack Doyle, 3-year deal, okay. Mo Alley Cox, still there. Doesn't seem like it's a very deep tight end group in the draft. So that would be my worry of I'm a big believer, and again, listeners of our podcast will know this. Can you cross off needs in free agency? Can you cross them off with younger guys? I think you can do that at tight end. I think you can do that on the defensive line this March. And I think you got to take advantage of that, especially when you might look into the draft and say, all right, we need those resources and we need to spend them on a trade up or whatever you want to do come draft time. Backup tight ends. If you would have told me this guy's name before the season, I would have thought he was a Sigma Chi at Alabama. Jacob Hollister for Seattle. Nice season. Maybe bring him in here. Tyler Eifert, when healthy, whatever. Top 10 probably in the league, but when healthy is
That's the main.
Yeah, that's
the main
a miracle.
Significant portion there.
For sure. So those are the backups. And then defensive line. High level impact. It's needed. Chris Jones, Yannick Ngakoue. Are those tags official? I don't know. Some of them might already be official. But, I'm so crazy. I would look into trading for him. Just pray Jacksonville's dumb enough.
Ngakoue is a monster. I mean, so is Chris Jones, but you look at that edge pass rush that you talk about.
For sure. And again, young. Ngakoue's 24, I want to say. That's crazy young for second contract. Now, Chris Jones, if I'm picking those two, I'm picking Chris Jones just because I still think Kamoko Toure, which I've kind of come around a little bit on Toure. I think if he can come back from this injury, there could be something there. But that defensive line group, that's where I'm looking high level. If you can't get that, again, there are multiple levels to the defensive line group, which I think Chris Ballard has to love. Last year it's Justin Houston. Well, the year before that, it was Danico Autry. There are a lot of, I think, Danico Autry types in this group. Does it turn the defensive line into a top 5 group in the NFL? No, but there's some productive players that you can upgrade with. So that is your Javon Hargraves, your guy, Jerron Reed, Malik Collins, Derek Wolfe.
Hargraves can play, let me tell you.
Yeah, and more of an interior guy.
You can get to the quarterback.
And that's where that interior rush, boy, just non-existent at times, especially late last season. So that's kind of what a free agency blueprint looks like to me of, the pipe dream is a Clowney, Cooper, Henry. And that's serious pipe dream. And that's laughable probably to think about. But if you can come away with something where maybe it's one from that group, maybe it's a second-tier defensive lineman, any of those things, that's where I'm going, man. And I think it's possible. I do. These guys get into the open market and staying in the Colts price range, those are questions you can't ignore. But I just think that Chris Ballard has spoken words this offseason he hasn't spoken before when talking about the need to upgrade his roster. His words have been different. They've been more serious, more of an aggressive tone. Do you back him up? That's what we're going to find out here the next few weeks. Friction. That's the word.
Do you want to get into the quarterback talk, or are we saving that for Twitter questions?
Well, it's got to be coming in Twitter questions, so let's save it there.
Okay.
But teaser, Joey, honestly, is I don't see the need in free agency.
Okay.
I don't think it's the dumbest thing in the world, but I don't see the need. Right now, I'm a D-line, wideout, tight end guy in free agency.
Okay.
One more name that I will throw to you, actually.
All right.
Let me make sure. Do a brief little scroll here of Twitter questions. I think someone asked me this on Twitter. It might have been DM a few weeks ago. Might have been Drew. Derrick Henry. What if Tennessee says, all right, we're going to go draft Jonathan Taylor. We don't need you. What do you think?
I mean, he's going to try to reset the running back market, right?
So no way.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. No.
Derrick Henry behind that O-line.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that makes Chris Ballard wake up and have dreams he never thought he'd have.
Sure, but is the difference between – I think the difference between Derrick Henry and Marlon Mack, call me crazy, is smaller than the difference between what you need to upgrade at quarterback.
Oh, spot on. I do not disagree with you. It's just – and honestly, it's a thought that I'm not like, go get Derrick Henry, but it's kind of intriguing. And again, it's intriguing for one point, what you just brought up. What is the running back market going to look like for him? How do teams value him right now?
Right.
I would think Tennessee would have already made him a big priority and brought him back. Without him, you're drafting top 10 last year.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe Tennessee won't let him leave, and maybe all these agents are kind of letting the CBA bullshit play out. But yeah, that'll be because we've heard Marlon Mack, no extension. He's still got one more year left on his contract, and I probably wouldn't pursue it, but hell, you got so much money this offseason.
But, I mean, how quickly we forget, kind of at the end of the year, they were struggling to run the ball, were they not?
Exactly. I mean, I've said it before. This run game in Indianapolis was not elite last year. Top 10 rushing defenses. New Orleans, Tampa, I forget the third one. You didn't have more than 100 yards in any of those games. What's Tennessee doing?
Just relying on living.
Oh my gosh, just tearing up New England and Baltimore with that run game. So yeah, just a thought of AFC South implications, and we'll see what happens.
I like it. Let's hop into some Twitter questions.
All right,
let's start with Josh. Hey Kev, love the podcast. Really thought you asked great questions to the draft analysts in last week's show. 2 questions. With the surplus of talent at linebacker, Ballard loves re-signing his own. Could you see him extending all 3 linebackers if they continue growing the way they have? Number 2. It seems to me, he's just continues here. It seems to me to be hard to pay all 3 from a cap standpoint that you are in a base defense predominantly. Here's the second one. Have you or Joey ever wanted to be a color commentator?
Ooh.
Have you ever done that before?
Wow. Okay. 2 very different questions. Let's start with number 1. Linebacker thoughts. Great points, Josh, and thank you for listening. They like their linebackers a lot. I could see all 3 being extended. Now, obviously, you can't extend Leonard or Okereke right now. They're so early into their rookie deals. You can extend Anthony Walker. But the base defense comment is smart. And Bobby Okereke, I mean, that might be your breakout Colt moving forward. I think there's a lot of belief within the organization of that happening. And does Okereke supplant Anthony Walker this year as more of an every down guy? That's a real battle that I thought we were going to see last year. We didn't see really play out. But maybe we see that here in 2020. Yeah, I mean, I think extending them makes sense because outside of EJ Speed, I don't look at like Zaire Franklin or Matthew Adams and be like, bam, that guy deserves more of a look. So there's not like ready-made people, I think, waiting in the wings. So yeah, I think extending all of them makes sense. Outside of Leonard, Walker's not going to break the bank by any means. And I think that room really gets along with each other. Walker and Leonard are crazy close. So, yeah, as far as color commentating, first I should probably speak better if I ever want to do that. No, I've really never given it much thought, Joey, to be honest.
Well, typically in those, and to be a color commentator, you usually have to be a former player, coach, GM.
Yeah.
Did you do any play-by-play in college?
I did 3 games. I did a basketball game and 2 baseball games, and I want to say I did play-by-play for 1 baseball and then color for the other baseball, other basketball. But then it's just kind of like, doesn't even matter. Students just get on there and you do whatever. Did you? I mean, you did UND play-by-play, right?
Pretty heavy into play-by-play.
Yeah. Which I love. I mean, I think if I had my dream job in this industry, it would probably be play-by-play.
For golf?
For Notre Dame basketball.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Golf play-by-play, that's tough. Because you're really telling stories more so than you're like painting a picture.
Sure.
If you ever want to fall asleep on a Sunday, listen to Sirius XM Golf Channel.
I bet.
Oh my God!
Very quiet tone.
And Tiger Woods is 20 feet away.
Steps
the
up to
break left to right. His glove, puts it in his pocket, and it's tracking, and he missed it. Yeah, I mean, it's like just
lulling you.
Oh
to
my
sleep.
gosh!
Yeah.
How about you?
I mean, I always knew that color commentary, like I said, you had to be a player.
Right.
So I never really wanted to do that because I was like, if I'm going to make it in this profession, it's going to be as a play-by-play guy. So
Did you think play-by-play?
For a while there, yeah. My sophomore and junior year of college, I tried to do as many football and basketball games as I could, baseball or softball as well.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Something great about radio play-by-play broadcasting. That's, like you said, you're painting the picture, and it's that freedom of it's your broadcast, so you can kind of make it your own. So, but then, you get out and you're like, oh, everybody who's a play-by-play broadcaster either went to Syracuse or Northwestern, and they're either 40 years old or like 80 years old and not leaving their job.
And they moved to Billings, Montana to do single-A baseball.
Exactly. All right, from Stan, outline your best-case scenario for a world in which the Colts don't draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. Feel free to either talk generally or dig into the specifics.
Oh, boy, Stan. Okay. Joey, this is where I'm going to get into my quarterback rant.
Okay.
If I'm ranking non-draftable quarterback, I'm team draft quarterback. Remember? That's our hashtag.
Yes.
I'd probably trade for Carr or Stafford.
Okay.
Now,
makes sense.
That's a lot to give up. Those 2 guys are under contract for multiple years. That is a long-term answer. This is not a Phillip Rivers stopgap. You do either of that. That is a long-term answer. That is what I would do. What does he ask for? Ideal scenario?
Yeah, not drafting the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do. And I know that's going to cost a lot, but you aren't, potentially what would you be giving up? Maybe a future first. Yeah, I still think you have enough draft capital that you could cross off some other needs. Now, you're absorbing a bigger contract, but I still think you would have the ability to spend for a defensive lineman and free agency as well. But that's how I would look at quarterback. Again, I've said it all along. I think you need to do something significant at quarterback. So if Stan's going to take away the draft from me, I'm probably going to trade. I like that a little bit better than signing Bridgewater. That would be option 3.
From Old Daner, let's say we draft Kinlaw, Chason, or wide receiver at 13. Sign a veteran quarterback in free agency. Would Brissett and our 32 be enough to trade back into round 1 for a quarterback? Thanks. Love the show.
Brissett and 32?
34.
34? Yeah, definitely. I mean, hell, you're only moving 2 spots. 34 is the second overall pick in the second round. Now, how high up probably is what he cares about more. I would think Brissett and 34 could get you to like 20-something, 23, 24, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Sure. Maybe draft one, in the range of an Eason or a...
Yeah.
Who's that guy that's coming up? Not Love, obviously, anymore, but the other dude who's...
From?
No, he's from a smaller school.
James Gordon?
Yes.
Yeah, or Anthony Gordon?
Anthony Gordon, yes.
Yeah, James Morgan. Anthony Gordon from Washington State. He was a fun listen at the combine. You were over there a little bit.
A little bit, but I didn't hear him now.
So yeah, I think that would be mid-20s would be my best guess on. Boy, can you imagine if that happened? My head is exploding.
Yeah, that'd be a wild couple draft days there. From Alaska Colts fan, Kevin, given the Colts quarterback tree, Manning, Luck, do you think it would be better for a second-round quarterback to come in one who has less expectations. Everyone is going to expect Herbert or Love to be the next Luck or Manning. Frankly, that quarterback is not in this draft class. Yeah, you could argue Burrow or Tua. However, even those two do not compare to Luck or Manning. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
However, history has shown that successful quarterbacks are drafted in the top 15.
I get it, and I think that's the hardest part about evaluating quarterbacks, Joey. Which of these guys can handle it? Which of these guys can step into 70,000-seat stadiums and play for your professional job? You know, Jordan Love, you're projecting him into totally different environments than he was ever in. Tua and Burrow, they don't have the most talented team on the field week in and week out anymore. Right. Like, how do you battle adversity? Jalen Hurts is a guy that's seen some adversity and been thrown into different situations. Does that make you like him a little bit more? So that, to me, I think is what's really difficult. But I don't necessarily be like, oh, the first-round picks can't handle it, but the second-round picks can handle it. Like, whenever if you're drafted in the first, if you draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, that is your quarterback of the future. You believe there is franchise quarterback traits with that guy. Think about it. What second-round pick do you ever draft and think, he'll be a good backup for us?
If you do, you're doing it wrong.
What? Like, no, every second-round pick that you're drafting, you're thinking starter, you're thinking high-level starter. So maybe that second-round pick doesn't start from day one, but make no bones about it, that dude is going to be your franchise quarterback at some point, or at least you think that guy can be your franchise quarterback at some point.
All right, from Nate, random thought, and was afraid if I miss next week's podcast or forget it over the weekend. What do you think the Colts organization would look like if Arians doesn't get a head coaching gig and remains the offensive coordinator for Pagano? Would Pagano and Grigson still have jobs?
Luck's dead by 2014. I don't know. I mean, Luck took a lot of hits that first year, man. And, no risk it, no biscuit from Bruce Arians contributed to a lot of that. I mean, there would have been a good amount of success, but you just worry about Luck's health. And I don't know. Maybe you, as crazy as it sounds, maybe that problem gets confronted earlier. Maybe it's like, all right, he cannot be getting beat up. Maybe there's more of those Nick Perry, Green Bay Packer hits that almost knocked Luck's head off his rookie season. And that's a little bit more of an eye-opener. I can't imagine Arians just staying here for that long, though. That's a crazy. I mean, Arians clearly wanted that head coaching job. Yeah. And he deserved it. He got Arizona to an NFC title game.
From JJ, Ballard seems to have a rigid philosophy to improve the Colts. Build from within, only buy bargains, draft assets are more important than winning. Devaluing of skill positions, I don't think he wants to waste picks or money on a quarterback, running back, or wide receiver, and his infatuation with the O&D lines. This defense is fine as is. Is he as rigid as he seems? Would he violate his plans to make the team better? Can he be pragmatic to take advantage of opportunities to improve?
Boy, violate his whatever. That sounded...
JJ coming hard for...
Yeah, JJ does that.
Ballard.
I wouldn't use the phrase violate his plans or whatever, however JJ said it, but have a shift in philosophy, have and more of an open mind. Yes, I think that is actually there. A lot of good points, honestly, from JJ, but I think that is something that just a shifting of philosophy. The core belief is never going to change for Chris Ballard. That's fine, but tweaks. I think they're needed, and Ballard has said things this offseason that could lend to that happening.
All right, from our guy Yash T. Says, hey, guys, what is one major key besides quarterback needed to help launch the Colts back into the postseason?
Disruptive defensive line. Need it. Absolute must. More of a ball in your hand, playmaking wideout would probably be next on the list. But to me, again, it is that you just need a freaking dog. DAWGGGGG on that defensive line.
Yep.
Dog.
For sure. From Brett Stockenglausner, is the Phillip Rivers to Indy basically a done deal already? Seems like that's what everyone else assumes. If that's the case, can we cross quarterback one off the board in the first round?
Oh, no, I don't think it's a done deal, Brett. Chatter, certainly, but done deal, no. There's got to be. I mean, just crazy musical chair game with this quarterback situation. Crazy. Like your elementary assembly musical chairs times 10. Like it's going to be wild. So I don't think it's a done deal. If you were to draft him, or excuse me, if you were to sign him, does that change draft one? I don't think it should. Now, some people will say, well, yeah, that 13th pick needs to be a wideout or defensive lineman, and you come back in the second round. I think the general consensus on like a guy like Jordan Love, no matter really where you draft him, you probably need to wait. Give him that 1-year red shirt. So I don't think you're getting Love at 34. So I don't think it should change that, no.
From Casey with a K, who's the most famous person you have in your phone? Any current or former Colts? Are media members allowed to have Ballard, Reich, Irsay phone numbers?
Well, besides you, yeah, that's a good question. Reich, Ballard, yeah, probably. I don't really know many famous people that I don't have Andrew Luck's number.
Who does have his number, you think?
Frickin'
Think any media members have his number?
the Siam Square delivery play. I don't. No, I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, how does that? I mean, maybe you aren't allowed to say, but I am always curious about that because, like,
I think it's awkward. I mean, I think it's a very awkward process.
like getting Ballard's number.
Getting back, yeah, that one wasn't as awkward. I think Reich texted me actually, which I'm sure he just probably got all of our phone numbers from the Colts PR staff and just kind of little intro thing. The player one is more awkward to me. It's like, hey man, you care if I get your number? And then you're kind of like in the locker room and you're like hoping no one's seeing that you're typing the player's number into your phone.
Yeah.
Do you go through the agent? I don't know. I mean, I've talked about this before. I'm not a big like breaking news person.
Sure.
And inevitably, I'm probably going to have to say something not so great about you. So I'm not trying to be like buddy-buddy with anybody. So I don't really go down that road too much. But yeah, it's not like a, hey guys, welcome to orientation. Let's exchange numbers if you need anything. And, hey, if you're going to the grocery, you can pick something up for.
Just a big Colts networking event.
Right, exactly. Yeah, here's my business card.
Yeah. Okay, from Lucas. Which free agent out there moves the needle the most for the Colts in 2020? Then he asked me, what's my favorite impersonation that I've done? So, number one, which free agent moves the needle the most?
Probably Chris Jones.
Even when he's tagged? Is that like a sign and trade then?
Yeah, it would have to be. Now, okay, non-tag division, Clowney or Cooper, I think are the two biggest names.
I forgot about Clowney, yeah.
And again, non-quarterback division. I mean, I guess to a degree, Brady or Rivers is a domino that could really impact things because, what also Colts fans need to be cheering for the next few weeks, teams drafting the top 10, you want them to solidify quarterback. You want Tom Brady to go play for Vegas or the Chargers. Maybe that'll take them out of the quarterback market in the top 10. Maybe it won't. Maybe they'll say, all right, we're going to draft Jordan Love too.
Did you see Brady started that production company out there?
Dude, I was filming on the Fan Morning Show earlier today, and I meant to mention that. I'll have to do that on Thursday or Friday. But, yeah, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, 199 Productions because that's his pick.
Yeah.
But it's like, is this like a LeBron-type move here?
For sure. And I'm thinking to myself, you get closer to that market, Raiders, Chargers.
But the Chargers' O-line is so putridly bad.
But what about taking a tackle at 6 or 7, wherever they draft? And I don't know.
I know, but it just seems like that's really, like, at least for LeBron, is like, okay, give him a year. He's going to get his guys in there. He's still.
Yeah, Brady doesn't have that.
Right.
He doesn't have that.
Right.
No, you're right. I just think at Brady's point, I know it's weird to say, but I hear a lot more TB12, 199 brand talk out of Brady right now.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
I mean, God love Indianapolis, and you and I love the city more than anything, but I don't know, man. There's only so much growth.
As for my favorite impression, I really enjoyed Luck and Mike Leach. I know it's tough
Leach.
because Luck is retired and Leach isn't, like a huge household name unless you're really into college football. But
Leach going the SEC is great for you.
Yeah, I mean, Leach is just so fun because it's just really anything you say, you don't have to make sense because you could see him saying something like that, and that's the funny part of it. And then Luck was my first. It's you You never get your first one. So,
what
really
about Saban?
Saban's fun, but there's just too many psychos out there that are just like they're too negative.
Alabama vultures.
People, it's like it's amazing to me how so many like grown ass white men get so pissy about impressions. I'm like, do you guys not have anything better to get upset about?
God bless social media.
It's like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and my impressions. If you're like 38 to 42 years old and white and have a beard, those trigger you so much.
Dude, I love when people like call me out on Twitter, and obviously you get it 10 times more just with your following. I love to scroll through their timelines and see what else they attack. And you're spot on with it.
It's ridiculous, dude.
It is so.
38 followers, a selfie with a beard, and like
right.
It's
or an egg. Yeah.
Or an egg, and then usually if you slam them back, they delete it because they're little bitches. To be honest, I'm breaking it down here.
No, that's real.
Yeah, that we did. All right, from C. Naderi, 18. How excited is everyone going to be when Jacoby is a starter day one and the Colts draft a quarterback in the 8th round? For those who don't know, there's only 7 rounds in the NFL draft.
Only 7, man. Again, I would be stunned if it was no draft pick a quarterback. Can you imagine that reaction?
It would. I'm not even a Colts guy, but I'd be borderline pissed.
Yeah, I would be pissed. I need a quarterback because I got a wedding Saturday of the draft. Shout out to Jimmy Kennedy and his fiance Anna Grace. Can't wait. I need a quarterback in the first 3 rounds because when Saturday the draft rolls around, I just
you're not going to be available.
I can't be worried about that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do the quarterback thing, do it early for multiple reasons.
As usual from our guy Skoog, he brings the important stuff here on Kevin's Corner. He wants to know who wins in a fight, Ryan Grigson or Chris Ballard. He says his money's on Chris Ballard because size doesn't trump pure killer instinct.
Oh, my God. I love that, man.
I know.
My brother texted Skoog earlier today, or texted me about Skoog earlier today. How in the hell does Skoog have 54,000 followers?
Well, you got to see. I mean, he's got those viral tweets. He's very well. He writes them very, very well. He's very funny.
See, my brother remembers Skoog as the first kid that didn't wear an undershirt in like 4th grade basketball, and
he seems like that.
Oh yeah,
that's hilarious.
Right, the chest hair was flaming out at a young age. All right, Skoog, Ballard, Grigson fight. Oh boy. That's a great one. I mean, Grigson's an NFL offensive lineman for a minute.
True.
But, man, Ballard's a scrappy, just
a bulldog.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine?
Just a straight bulldog.
I'll go Ballard by decision in the 12th round.
Nice. From Andrew, quarterbacks all gone prior to 13. No trade-ups were able to be made. Are you taking Brown, Kinlaw, Judy, Lamb, or other?
No trade-ups.
Brown. Who am I missing? That's Brown.
Derek Brown. Yeah.
Auburn.
I'm probably going to go Ken Law over Brown, to be honest with you. I think there's a little bit more of a pass rush element. But that's tough. Maybe I'm thinking too much like Ballard, honestly. Because I love CD Lamb. Love. Yeah, give me Ken Law.
From Jake, what kind of terrible, awful, horrible offseason would the front office need to put together for you to move closer to the hashtag Fire Ballard bandwagon?
Ooh, there you go, Jake. Nothing says Happy Tuesday like that one. Fire Ballard. I don't know if I don't know if any offseason can get to maybe spending zero money and trading all 7 picks for nobody. I don't know. If you stick with Brissett and you don't draft a quarterback, maybe. You're like, that's odd, and why would he do that? But again, I would have to see it play out on the field in the fall. So yeah, lack of spending and no serious investment at quarterback would have to happen.
From Sam, would you rather re-sign Devin Funchess to a 1-year deal or draft a wide receiver at pick 44?
Good one, Sam. I would rather draft a wideout at 44, but I think you need to do both. And you can do both. You did it last year. You draft Campbell at 50-something or somewhere around then. So, yeah, I would do I'd do both.
From Jason, if you had to put your life savings on it, what is your prediction for the Colts at 13?
Probably a guy like Kinlaw. Probably the best defensive lineman on the board. If your life savings, that's. I think that's the route that I would go.
Right. Gotta play it safe there when you're talking about that.
Gotta know Chris Ballard.
From Derek, he says, Kevin, North Dakota Colts fan here. You're the only podcast I listen to. Great job. Wow.
Thank you.
If he's got Indiana roots or if he just picked them.
Maybe he's a big Joe Haig fan, proud of North Dakota State.
But then he also says, I'm on the Trevor Lawrence bandwagon. Is it being long-term for the Colts to sell the farm? Is it better for the Colts to sell the farm long-term, per se, for Lawrence next year, or give up a little less and move up to get Herbert this year?
Well, I don't like waiting. Honestly, North Dakota State's got a quarterback that, my mind's already thinking to 2021. I guess they've got a quarterback that's the night. They barely threw any picks this year. Maybe didn't even throw any picks. Something crazy. I forget his name. Give me it again. He wants to sell the farm and move up for Herbert. What's he saying?
No, is it better to sell the farm, per se, for Lawrence next year, or give up a little bit less and move up to get Herbert this year?
Oh, gotcha. Well, I mean, if you're selling the farm, Joey, like literally you're selling everything. Every animal, every sign, mailbox, farm equipment, everything. I mean, that's what it's going to take, right? I mean, he's a generational guy. He's the Luck. He's the Manning, etc. So Herbert is going to cost far, far less. So I would say Herbert.
From Benji, you may have already done this, but could you give a brief overview of top wide receivers and comment on which fits Reich's system and style of play the most?
You're right. We haven't really gotten into too much of that. I don't think there's a particular style per se. You look at last offseason, Funchess, big body, and then boom, the speed element of Campbell. I think it's just a guy that can learn the system and a guy that can make plays with the ball in his hands. And that's so many different body types. That can be Ruggs, that can be Lamb, that can be Denzel Mims.
Yep.
That can be a lot of things. So I don't think you pigeonhole Reich and the receiver skill set maybe as much as you do where we kind of have this idea on quarterbacks. Now, having said that, like I've teased in the past, when we get deeper into March, early April, I'll start looking at who I actually think are some player comps that could fit what we know the Colts blueprint seems to be.
From Colts Group Therapy, you've given several scenarios that may play out for our 2020 draft and free agent quarterback situation. If you had to bet money today, what are you betting on? Will the Colts sign a quarterback, draft a quarterback, both? Who are they?
Boy, if I had a dime for every time I've been asked this question. I think draft a quarterback. In the first 2 days of the draft. I honestly believe that is what my gut intuition is telling me. Next would be free agent, probably free agent and draft, and last would be free agency by itself. Who would that be? I mean, it's really a dart. It's really a dart. Maybe Love, maybe Fromm. I know those are two vastly different quarterbacks, but yeah, that's kind of my thought process right now on March 10th. Ask me again tomorrow.
A little bit of a change up here from Colts Law. If you had the chance to either 1, get a 1-step-up promotion now, 2, free all-expense paid vacation anywhere with your wife for 1 week, or 3, have a 2-hour, no-holds-barred interview with anyone in the world, what would be your choice?
Well, so much as I love Tiger Woods, I don't know if I care that much about other people in the world to have a 2-hour interview compared to the other choices you're giving me there, Colts Law. I'd say promotion. Wouldn't that allow me to pay for the vacation? Or
Probably.
So maybe that's both. What would you go with? I mean, I'd love a good vacation.
Vacation anywhere with the wife is tough to pass up.
Yeah, all expenses paid. I mean, that's, yeah.
But anyone in the world for 2 hours? I'm a big interview guy.
Oh, wow.
I would love right now, currently at this point in my life, to...
See, this is why you're growing and I'm not.
I would love at this point in my life to interview for 2 hours one of the following: Adam Sandler, Adam Driver, probably number one right now, and Anthony Rizzo. So pick one of those fellas.
So that's your like dinner
maybe President
table.
Obama, one of those four people for 2 hours, me and them.
That's a wide range of group right there.
Wide ranging. I'd be good with any of them. I love interviews. I love interviewing people. Those kind of like conversational interviews. You know what I mean? Where you're just like digging deep, and that would be a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. That Riley might not love it, but hey, that's a win.
Right. Would there be anybody else for you besides Tiger?
Barack is good. I'd have to think more about it. I'm a big historian. Like I enjoy that stuff. Like I enjoy like war stuff and just like monumental events around our country, to be honest with you. Like people associated with 9/11 or people associated with going to the moon or civil rights, those sorts of things. So yeah, maybe like some of those people. Okay. Maybe honestly just like a general American historian of the last 70, 80 years. You'd cover maybe multiple of those events.
Interesting. Yeah, because, okay, yeah, that would be interesting for sure. For Matt, what's the thinking behind the not extending Marlon Mack talk?
It's a good question, Matt. I think the thinking is maybe how running backs are valued. You know, it's weird, Joey. I think if you were to have a player that is produced like Marlon Mack at any other position on the team, wouldn't you expect that player to be extended?
Yeah.
I mean, like Kenny Moore.
Well, yeah, and Ballard, I mean, he's said that,
Yeah, I mean, Kenny Moore, I think his career... some might argue Marlon Mack is at a better... I think actually they're the same age. Some might argue Marlon Mack is at a better first 3 years than Kenny Moore. And yet, Kenny Moore was like a no-brainer re-signing early in the offseason last year. And here you are with Marlon Mack. So I think it's just more of the general consensus on how running backs are looked at.
From Big Bama 44, is there any news on Reese Fountain on how his recovery is going? How big is this year for him, just for his NFL career? I think he's a great talent, just need more consistency, and I think his confidence will take him to another level. Oh,
it's huge, and I'm excited to see more Reese for sure. He updates his stuff pretty frequently on social media.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I think he's doing some field work. I know he mentioned at one point he had a little bit of a kind of a step back or just kind of hit a hiccup. But yeah, I think that's something to where you he could potentially have a big opportunity. Man, that injury was so bad. God, I felt awful for him.
Mm-hmm. Big bummer of last year's training camp for sure.
Yeah.
From James, hi Kevin. Who's your favorite non-wide receiver quarterback prospect in the draft? I enjoy the podcast. Keep up the great work.
I mean, I love me some Isaiah Simmons. You just can't teach a lot of that. Can't teach really any of it. I'm intrigued by, I've mentioned Ken Law several times. I like him. Running back wise, I know he had some fumbles, but I think Jonathan Taylor, what he did at the combine, man, it was kind of like, whoa, Wisconsin running backs can do that?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a guy as well. Yeah, I've always been big on Cole Kmet. I don't think that's my Notre Dame bias coming out on that either. I think he's just a freak of an athlete. Played baseball. I'm sure some people know this, but he was like Notre Dame's Saturday night starter, which is a significant position in baseball on the mound. So he really didn't take part in a whole lot of spring practice at all. So now, I mean,
the old Jeff Samardzija route.
You get guys
Pat Connaughton.
Right. You get guys that concentrate on one sport, and that could be dangerous. There's some guys that immediately pop into my mind. Yeah. Patrick Queen from LSU. I like that speed. So, yeah.
Got one here from Keese. Makes that a good point, I think. Not a huge Jacoby Brissett guy myself, but why is it when Jacoby loses his top players and plays bad, it's he sucks and everyone hates him, but when Jordan Love loses his players and plays awful in the Mountain West, the whole season, everyone loves him?
Well, I don't know if everyone loves Jordan Love. I mean, obviously there's a more of a fan group than there is probably for Jacoby Brissett. To be fair, let's give the facts. Jordan Love lost 9 of 11 starters, and I believe a head coach or play caller. Jacoby Brissett lost, whatever you want to call it, 3 wideouts, and his second tight end. But again, same offensive line fully intact, run game intact as well. So again, you can't compare the two just that black and white. Like, there's a lot of different elements that go into it. And honestly, frankly, what about age? Of 30 starts in the NFL at the age of 27 versus, a third-year starting collegiate quarterback that plays in a vastly different offense than what you're going to see in the NFL as well. So I think there's other trends in Brissett's game that I've mentioned before of pre-injury, post-injury, fourth quarter success, the completion percentage that was not at an adequate level really from September on. Again, that's before the sprained MCL. And I don't need to rehash it. You guys have all heard that from me, about these guys. Jacoby didn't have a game over 67% after like week 3 of the season. And the fourth quarter success is a trend we saw back in 2017. And the lack thereof of his quarterback rating in, one possession games and things like that. And I just think you look at Love and you see a higher ceiling, more potential, 6 years younger with what NFL coaching can do to that. And that's why people have more of an open mind.
All right, man. You got anything else? Actually, I have one for you. Switching gears here. Pacers play the Celtics on Tuesday night.
Okay.
Will Lance Stevenson be a Pacer by the end of the week?
Dude, I'm adamant no, and I know that you probably don't like that.
I don't.
I just think the circus is come and gone.
With him?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think he's a washed up red panda.
Man, harsh.
And I love Lance, and you know that I like Lance, and he provides a lot of entertainment. But I think you gotta let Aaron Holiday and Edmund Sumner get these minutes. See what you got in there. Lance played in China, man. Do we even know how good he is? I mean, like,
Lance is Lance, baby. He's always gonna turn it on at the bank.
What does he do for you?
Entertains, provides a spark.
Yeah, but provides what? Does he get you out of the first round? No.
I mean, but is Aaron Holiday or Edmund Sumner going to do that?
No, but like long-term pieces. That's what you have to look at. Are these guys going to have roles for you in the long term? At least that's how I look at it.
Yeah. All right.
Trust me, we got some dude calling in this morning that wanted to just murder Big Joe because he hated Lance so much, or it wasn't about it.
Color me shocked that Big Joe doesn't want Lance. A guy like Lance. Jeez.
You want him. I mean, again, from an entertainment value, boy, I loved watching him. But now him and TJ McConnell are too similar. They need the ball in their hands. They're facilitators. McConnell's done a much better job with that second unit. So I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry.
That's cool.
All right, man. Great set of Twitter questions. Next week will be a little fluid. Free agency, of course. Not 100% sure what day. Tuesday, Wednesday. But again, the new league year starts at 4 on Wednesday. But once tampering begins Monday at noon, that's when the floodgates open.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. And you got a little bit of an announcement to make, don't you?
I do. Wanted the listeners to know that this will be my last Kevin's Corner. To being a part of it in terms of producer, co-host, that kind of thing. Got offered a new gig, and I accepted. And I'm going to be starting next week. And you'll find out what it is next week and more towards that time. But I didn't want to leave everybody hanging and not have them, maybe next week or the week after, be like, wait, what the heck's going on? So Kevin, thank you, man, for allowing me for the last 2.5 years to be a part of this and to grow professionally and grow this podcast with you and grow as friends. It's been awesome. I mean, the listener base here, I think, is some of the most loyal fans and listeners that we have at The Fan. So to all of you guys, thank you as well. I know some of you have, tweeted me and reminded me, oh, I've been here since you were, less than 1,000. And trust me, I realize that and I appreciate that. And it's been a huge part of my early career to be a part of a show like this and have an opportunity like this. So thank you to the listeners. Thank you, KB. I'll be able to do different radio hits and things like that with what's next. So I'd love to maybe around the draft time,
100%.
have a little guest appearance and we can
100%.
kind of break stuff down old school style. But this will be my last one for the full ride of the show. And thank you for letting me announce that. And like I said, you'll know more details probably next week, but just wanted to have the time to be able to say thanks.
Well, thank you. In all seriousness, I said it a few weeks ago when you were out. You actually were sick a couple weeks ago. I know people were a little bit skeptical, but you were sick when you weren't on a few weeks ago. And we had a question just about someone asking me what I think of this incredible growth that you've created. And I found myself in a weird way getting very sentimental and emotional, which my wife knows full well that's not me at all.
Yeah.
But I'm just super proud, man. It's a story that gives people in our industry and in general any industry hope and belief of people that work hard, are talented, and are willing to make sacrifices can be rewarded. And you've certainly been that. And you've challenged me. I mean, I mean, better than most, I can be a little bit of an old soul in this body, and you've challenged me and helping me grow out of that comfort zone and what we've done here and how we've grown this thing and Beers with Bowen and just other things like that.
Which April 16th,
yeah,
by the way.
Yeah,
so.
April 16th on that at Slippery Noodle. So yeah, man, I'm so happy for you, for Riley, for sure. Our friendship has been awesome.
Yeah.
My wife and I still talk about your wedding night a lot, and you guys.
As do I with yours.
You guys were late guests at the old Bowen wedding. So thrilled, man, just thrilled.
Thank you.
Thrilled.
Thank you.
I know we've had a lot of conversations about it over the past few months, and I knew full well this was inevitable, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, and
for sure,
yeah, man.
Thank you.
It's gonna be cool.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be cool to watch that keep on going. And can we get one Go Tigers?
Oh, absolutely. Here we go for the final go away here. Go Tigers.
We'll be back next week on Kevin's Corner. This has been Kevin Bowen. Thank you for listening to another edition of Kevin's Corner. If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher for the best Colts and Pacers coverage.